finish, you change back to the other profile afterwards.
Do I need to record? Oh yeah, I do, don't I?
You do.
So that would help, wouldn't it?
That would a bit, yeah.
So just imagine like rolling up tomorrow. I was like, where's the stuff to edit? It's like you didn't record it, you nugget.
Yeah.
That would have helped, wouldn't it? Right.
That's alright.
There's sound coming through.
There is. We are good.
We'll try and sit there without breaking the fucking thing.
Yeah. That's it, make it down. This framing's brilliant. I'm nearly centre of the screen, I love it.
Oh, you can keep it. Just keep it, it's yours.
Yeah.
Be famous. Okay.
Famous.
Microphone's
I
on.
want to become an influencer now.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's your new job description. Go change your CV.
Influencer. Apparently that is a job description these days, apparently. What I need to do is I now need to badger hotels with free rooms and demand companies give me free stuff, and I'll give them reviews.
You'll give them reviews.
Yeah.
They didn't completely suck.
Tesla, if you want a good review for my channel, you know what you need to do. I've always wanted a Model X. They look kind of cool.
Oh dear. I take it these are mine. So I'm not just stealing.
No, they're not yours. That's why I sit them over next to you.
Just to be sure.
Look, we know podcast always does better with a small amount of alcohol.
It is true. It is true. I need it for my nerves.
And while on podcast, hello, I'm TheSuffolkRam.
Skazz, yes.
We're episode 133 of the Ran Nerds podcast.
134 is going to be terrifying.
Why 134?
Well, because
yeah,
I'm going to be wearing a suit again.
Yeah, we'll both be wearing suits again. Yeah.
And we wouldn't have been kicking anyone out of their homes.
No, and all shall be revealed in 2 weeks' time.
Well, actually, it's funny you say that. Because Inky stuffed up on a live stream the other night.
Oh no.
Yeah, so people know. People know now.
But then the Ran Nerds people won't know.
No, they won't. So, for you guys, it's still secret.
Yeah, well, no spoilers here.
But I promise you, we're not evicting anyone from low-income housing. We could be. I'd love to, but
Not today.
Yeah, I mean it's too cold out. I don't want to be that evil.
It's windy.
You know, people might blow away. I don't want to clean up their shit after.
I've got to straight after this podcast. I've got to go and back to the farm, and just hope the pigs haven't blown away.
Just imagine the wind pigs fly. Woo!
Yeah,
Off they go.
Yeah. It's all like we've already lost one hut in the weather, so
brutal.
Yeah, so it's like I really hope it's all still in one piece, and I'm about an hour's drive away as it is. I'm nervously thinking what I'm going to find when I get over there, because by the time I get there, I'll probably gone midnight by the time I get there, and I'll have it all drive round, and it's like, please have nothing blown over, because I really don't want to get up at midnight and spend 2 or 3 hours writing everything, and then have to go to bed to then immediately get up again to feed everything.
Yeah. Good job. Don't do that.
The joy of farming. The joy of stock.
That's when no one wants to do it.
Yeah. Some idiots
Everyone's
like me.
weak.
Oh, it's quite surprised how many youngsters coming through in farming. They're some good ones amongst them.
You say how many of them are sticking to it though?
Surprisingly, quite a few.
Oh really?
Surprisingly, yeah. They pretty early on, once they get the taste of it, you know the ones who are going to make it.
Right.
You can see the ones who, when they sort of get stuck in, you can tell by how much they get stuck in doing it. You can see the ones who are going to make it.
Are they all coming from the same college you went to, or are they just wanting to try?
Various places. I mean, we've got a current work experience lad who's quite good. He's come from the college I went to. We've had ones in the past who had nothing to do with the college I went to. They just by chance emailed the farm and said, "Can I come along and do some work experience?" And they've come along, and we've also had some useless ones. Some who we've had. I won't. They're not going to be listening. We've had some really useless ones there. For a few years back, we had a really useless one who spent weeks and weeks and tried to convince the boss that she wasn't using any data because she was just streaming, not downloading.
Right. I think you've told this story before.
Yeah, I have. I say to him, "Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that."
You clearly don't know how the technology works.
No, she didn't stick it. But you can tell once you aren't going to stick it. You can generally you get a feeling. Some people surprise you. Some people surprise you both ways. Some people who are really into it just fade away from it, and some who have you think are never going to make it actually last. So it's not surprised.
It still surprises me though, because I mean it's a thankless job.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's not that they're gonna get rich or fucking famous doing it, is it?
No, no, it's not that many Bernard Matthews out there.
I just, like I said, it just surprises me that people still, really go in for it.
It's a job you do because you enjoy it, and you love doing it. Not you don't do it.
But see, that's what I mean. I can't quite get into the mindset of people these days where they'd think they'd enjoy it, because most people I meet these days are snivelly, whiny little bitches. I mean, I'm thinking of most of the people from my circle of friends, my wife's circle of friends. Most of them would probably buckle day one because they're wimps. The only person I know that's even remotely got the groove for it is you, and that's it. It's like fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I think people who tend to go into it, you have to have an interest in animals. If you ain't got an interest in animals, you ain't going to go into stock. The two things that attract people to farming, you have to have an interest in animals.
Yep.
And either you're going to go on the route of being a vet or working vets, or perhaps sort of like working sort of some animal care, or you're going to find yourself farming's the other way to go, or you have like machinery. Because if you like machinery, farming's a wonderful career to go into. There's lots of machinery, lots of big machines that will kill you in an instant.
Marvelous.
Lots of machines. I mean, I go to the machine. I don't do Albert Farm. I'm not really interested in Albert Farm, but I do going to the machinery shows. So I like looking at all the various belts and cogs and.
So, oh, look at that! A few extra nuts and bolts on this model.
When you realise how complicated, if you ever look at the side of a combine when it's been opened up and all the belts and all these belts drive the whole internal machinery of this machine, and that is such a complicated. I love the engineering behind it. It's
for sure.
So amazing how someone's thought of this, and every little bit has to work together in time with each other.
It's not the same thing, but I mean, well, it is kind of. It's mechanical engineering and that. I was just kind of amazed at Inky's sewing machine. So Inky got an old school Japanese made factory level sewing machine, and the fact that you could take the whole there isn't a shred of plastic on the damn thing. You could take the whole thing apart and see how it's all been put together. Fucking beautiful piece of work for such a simple job.
I love mechanical devices. I spend a lot of time doing electronics. I actually love putting apart mechanical devices, see how they all work. I mean, if something breaks that's mechanical, it goes straight into the workshop and it's all pulled apart.
Yep.
No intention to actually repair it. Just want to pull apart and see how
it all works.
And how simple some of these mechanisms are and how genius. I mean, you say sewing machines. I have seen so many animations of how a sewing machine works. I still can't get my head around it. It's magical, isn't it? It's still magic to me. I mean, I've watched so many things when you feel like you're on the cusp of understanding something.
Yeah.
And it's I can almost understand this, but I can't quite get over that little hill.
Yeah, there's some kind of magical leap of faith going on here that turns it from magical to pure mechanics.
Yeah.
But, I mean, but for such a simple job, moving a needle up and down or in a certain pattern, it's just wow, this thing is built like a tank.
Yeah.
And it was a sewing machine built back in the days when this thing was a lifetime purchase. Whereas if you would say, my wife has a newer sewing machine, and it's plastic, and I'm like, you couldn't fix this. If anything went wrong, it's bollocks.
No.
Oh,
I follow a channel. Have you ever seen a channel AVE? Have you seen him? He does basically tool strip downs.
Okay.
And he does mainly sort of power tools, but he does the odd strange thing usually. And he showed his wife's kitchen mixer that he'd broken.
Yeah.
And he pulled it apart, and the reason he broke it is there's the little beta things.
Yeah.
There's a left and a right.
And he put it in.
He put the one way. He forced it in the one round, and when he actually opened it up, he found what had broken was a small plastic tab retainer, and that tab he'd broken it off, and that had basically meant the whole machine was now useless. I said, for however many cents that cost, that's it. It's gone.
Bin.
You're not going to repair. Yeah, I think you end up sort of using some sort of putty glue to sort of permanently attach it in.
I get it.
He found a way to fix it. But
it's grim though, the way that a lot of stuff these days is just so throwaway. All of it. You know, back in the day, you'd buy a tube TV and it'd last, 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
Now you buy an LCD or LED backlit TV and it's
some of
fine.
it comes down to complexity. So a lot of it comes down to cheap production. It's cheaper to mould those things. I mean, you can sell them for a cheaper price.
Yeah.
But the downside is longevity.
Yeah.
I mean, that sewing machine, how much would that cost now? If someone made that right now.
Yeah, it'd cost a fortune.
Exactly. And there's probably still people out there who do make those. Though there's all the equivalent product probably still exists. But that's, I think, when people get confused, they look at like workmanship from 50 years ago. I think they're forgetting is what they're seeing is the stuff that survived.
Yeah.
All the stuff that broke and fell apart has been thrown away by now. So in 50 years' time from now, the stuff people are going to be looking will be the stuff that survived, and all the cheap food mixes that are crap have been thrown away.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of survivor bias
I suppose.
going there.
But then just the idea that it was built,
But you say itself as a factory grade machine. They are naturally built to a lot higher standard.
Yeah. I wish more stuff was. I would be willing to pay more for something that's going to last long, but it's just so hard to find unless you go up to the top.
There is probably someone out there who does make those machines, to that equivalent spec and to that standard. There's probably someone out there who does it.
I mean, it's like me and DeWald were talking about cars, and there was a piece went in his car. It was a pipe, plastic, and the things that it, this kind of plastic wasn't supposed to have running through it happened to have running through it. I was like, so how much does that pipe actually cost? That small piece of plastic, which, if it was a metal piece or whatever, it wouldn't have had any problems at all. It was, consumable effectively at this point. About £100-odd. I was like, does your car work without that? And he's like, no, not really. I was like,
that's just the case of complexity, though. We've had people want so many features in the car. I mean, I'm the same. I like all sorts of tools and features in my car, and some of the regulations. They need to have to do this. They need to have emission standards. They need to have ABS. When there's such a complicated thing, things are going to break.
Yeah. But I mean, do they have to be made? Does a part have to be made so poorly that it's going to break?
Sometimes it's simply design mistakes that they missed. So I'll give you an example. My friend experienced with his TD5 Defender. So they basically, TD5 Defenders, the wiring loom that goes to the injectors, that wiring loom runs past the oil sump, basically. What no one thought about was that wiring loom, all together, is basically works a bit like a plant and has capillary action. And over time, it gradually soaks the oil up the wiring, in through the wiring loom, and then into the injectors.
Ooh.
And what happens then is your engine runs. Oil gets into your engine, and your engine then runs away. And that's your engine. Now, if you're not quick, that's your engine knackered. This was a fault they discovered. There was nothing to do it. So do you know what the solution was? And this is a typical Land Rover solution. I love it. They made the wiring loom a service part, and it became part of the service routine to replace it.
Oh.
So every other service, you had to replace this wiring loom. And they weren't expensive. They were about 30 quid. But that was
not an awkward thing to change, though?
No, it's injected. Luckily, it's at the top. So it's right at the top of the engine. It's not too bad actually to do.
Okay.
And indeed, most people once the problem started being known, people started doing it anyway.
They started to learn how to do it. Okay.
But that was their solution, because but later the memoirs, they had versions of the engine, they moved it. But on those engines, they had to make it a service part.
So, I mean, it's like it just annoys me. Like when I was talking to the ward, it's like, yeah, the only place you can get this plastic pipe is from the manufacturer, and it's because it's got material running through it that shouldn't realistically run through that type of plastic. It's going to fail. It will fail.
But all parts fail, and what they're looking at are going, well, on the average lifespan of don't forget, they base vehicles on like a 10-year lifespan.
Yeah.
This is why I've always said I try and have a vehicle that's, by the time I get rid of it, it's about 10 years old. Because at that point, things start to break.
Yeah.
So and it means I have to pay more up front, but unless I'd have something go wrong. Doesn't guarantee it.
No, for sure. I will just say that I just wish, my thing with products is, I wish everything was made where I could buy each individual component so that I could repair the fucking thing. I'm sick and tired of having products that if a piece fails, you bin it.
Yeah.
Or, like with my laptop, that gaming laptop I bought, the fans started to fail in less than 4 months, and trying to get hold of replacement fans for that fucking thing is a nightmare.
Well, the EU were going to bring in the right to repair and make it a law that you basically had to be able to buy spare parts for your products you're purchasing so you could repair them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that doesn't apply to the UK anymore.
No.
We ain't going to get that benefit anymore.
Well.
You know, thanks, leavers.
I can't comment. I didn't vote.
No. But yeah, we ain't got. So who knows what happened to us? I mean, we might be lucky. It'll probably spill over anyway.
Yeah.
Or that's how they'll make their costs back. They'll send us all the shit products, and the rest of you get the nice ones.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
moving on.
15 minutes in, and we've not actually discussed anything computer related.
That's fine. We normally never do.
No. Oh, can I share my cheat? I do.
Go on.
Something this week. Okay, this is something very random.
I'm excited.
Now, I didn't mention some podcasts, but I mentioned to you a few weeks ago my achievement for the first time in my life. I had a fully painted Warhammer army.
Yes, you did.
First time in my life.
You seemed really psyched.
Yeah, and then I immediately bought a new set of models to go with it, which is now mean it's no longer a fully painted Warhammer army. But it's okay. It's only free. I can do them in any.
Okay, cool.
This is my new thing. I do. I buy and build and paint them done.
Yeah.
I had my first experience using magnets.
Oh, right. Because you said you'd have to drill and insert these incredibly tiny little magnets.
They're 1 mil by 3 mil.
Yeah, it's a bit too... For my hands these days, I couldn't do that.
They were fiddly, to put it nicely. Though I also got some 5
By
mil.
fiddly, you mean you bit through your fucking desk?
No, yeah,
Confess.
A bit. Because somehow you have to glue them with super glue. So, no, actually, I found worked quite well. Because they come on like they all sit together in like a long run. So what you do is you drill your hole, you put a very small amount of super glue in it, and then if you put them in, sort of slide the rest off, you can leave one behind.
Okay.
But the trick is to slide off and hold there with your one finger while you drop the rest. They fall to the ground.
Okay,
sure. If you slide for a little bit, but then let go, they just go bink and spring back in.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got this model.
I just had this vision of you having a fucking Warhammer model, like 30 magnets coming out of his hand, like just a string of magnets, like a laser beam.
Yeah, I bought a model, and for the Warhammer players like that, it's a Tau Ghostkill battlesuit.
Ooh. Ram's a Tau player.
I'm a Tau player.
You've spoken about your love of Tau before, haven't you?
Oh, I've spoken about Tau. Yeah, the space communists. You know, when the faction that is the space communists that have concentration camps and enslave people, and they're the good guys, that tells you all you need to know about Warhammer.
There you go.
And it's often stated that the Tau in any other sci-fi universe would be the bad guys. But in Warhammer, they're basically the good guys. Some are goody two-shoots, and they've got cloven hooves, so I'm naturally drawn to them. Yeah, they're nicknamed the Space Cows, so I'm naturally drawn to them, yeah. Anyway.
Now you know why Ram's a farmer. His love of animals.
So yeah, got space cows. I'm half tempted when we finally say goodbye to some of our cattle. I might see if I can keep the hooves so I can do some cosplay Tau.
Oh Christ! Good job.
Yeah, I'm sure I can make some shoes for them. It's fine,
mate. I'll take the pictures. Because there ain't no fucking ass.
Yeah, I got it. And what is magnets? So thing one you've got to bear in mind when doing these magnets. Number one. Make sure you make a note of which polarity they are when you glue the two parts together. Because obviously, if your gun is gone north and the machine's gone north,
they're just trying to go, no, the gun keeps flying away.
Cling, and then they do fly away well. But other than that, it was surprisingly easy. I was really impressed. The one which was tricky was a bigger gun was too heavy, so I used 2 magnets.
Oh, okay.
Now, the trouble is you need to have 2 magnets.
Is that lined up? Lining them up is the problem?
It's more a case of the weight, basically. It was too heavy, so one, it was sort of...
No, I mean, like, if you had to apply 2 magnets, was the main issue having to line the 2 magnets up with what you were then putting into the other?
Not so much, because what you do is use cues off the moulding, so... There's usually it's where because the main glued together tight, they've actually got like an enginered part which locks together. Okay. So basically it's like, okay, well I'll use that corner there, and I know I can see the middle mould join is, that's where they all cross, that's my marker, and if I do the same on the other mould, that's going to be like, that's not so bad. And you can always do one part first. Trouble is, if you put one magnet in, and
Yeah.
super glue in. You then try and put another one in. It wants to get joined to the one you've already put in.
Sure.
So you have to sort of super glue and hold it with the tip of your finger and hope that you don't get stuck to the model yourself.
Which often happens.
Which can happen. I've cheated, but yeah, I can now swap all these weapons around. So it means I've only got to buy one model now. That's all two of them.
Now I have to ask because you told me about them last time. Are you still using Goblin Gaming for your?
Yeah.
So these recent posters came from there.
Yeah.
I am desperately looking to get a full Blood Bowl set from there. By the way, my daily vlog viewers, the handful, Annie specifically, has mentioned. Rockin', you can get a full set for like it was 100 and something euros in the end.
Yeah.
I think there might be some Blood Bowl games going on overseas.
Ooh.
So
Marvellous.
and I'll be getting a set as well.
It's
nice because
we talked about it last time, but do you think we should see if we can get Blood Bowl in for the 24-hour live stream?
Yes, I do. I fucking do. In fact, I will invest in a set of teams. I mean, I'll be getting.
Well, I'll buy a team. If you're getting the game, I'll buy a team.
Sure. So I've got to get. For Chalky, I want to get him one day. A newer Skaven team because years and years ago, back when we were in high school, he gave me his Skaven team and he completely forgot about it.
Let's face it, Skaven is where it's at. Skaven,
he loves. I mean, I had my own set of Skaven. But because he had no one to play Blood Bowl with other than me at the time.
So it's Skaven v Skaven.
Yeah.
What comes in the base set? What do you get? What art teams do you get?
Humans and Orcs. That was always the traditional. That was the combo set, even way back in the day.
See, Orcs probably my second choice. If I didn't have Skaven, Orcs probably my second choice. I like Orcs.
I always played Orcs.
Yeah.
Orcs were my main guys. I had back in the day my teams, the teams that I owned, and I owned a few. And I obviously had Orcs and Humans because I had a starter set. Because I actually played Blood Bowl in high school. And I was one of the few people that actually owned the game. So some people would just go after school and play. Because I was a fucking nerd. No two ways about it. A nerd with fucking long hair and listen to heavy metal. But still. I had the base game. So I had Orcs and Humans. I then had Dwarfs. Halflings, Skaven. I might have had a couple other teams and some star players, but those are the fucking main ones. Halflings are hilarious, fucking hilarious. Setting up a team of halflings versus dwarfs. Oh, I would cry laughing. It was pathetic.
I'll pick up a team. If you're going to get the set, I better pick up a team.
I might just for the laugh of losing like every match, I'll go halflings. I might go halflings just for the
that bad.
Well, they're weak as fuck. So unless you can gang up on you need to like have 3 or 4 halflings on a regular humans.
So not very well balanced then, or are you just not very good at playing halflings?
They're just weak. So I mean, you don't go for combat. I mean, like Skaven, they're pretty weak, but they're fast on their feet. Halflings don't really have anything going for them. So you could always buff halflings by... There's, I can't remember the character's name, but there is a star player that's universal. And he's one of the few star players that will play on any team. So it doesn't matter if you're rocking undead, humans, orcs, whatever. This one character has it's a free agent for all teams. Like, so if you bought a vampire... star player, you'd have to put them on an undead team. If you were to pick like Cyborg, he would play on the Orc team, but this one guy would play on every fucking team. If you had that guy on the team, not a problem. Although I will say, playing Halflings once, I actually whooped that guy. I killed that star player with my Halfling team in a match. Fucking hilarious. See a little bunch of halflings just fucking mug this guy that's like 9 feet tall. It's great.
Well, I'm visioning. Do you ever play? I know you didn't like Bioshock. Do you ever play it to the end? No. There's a bit at the end where it goes a bit weird at the end, and basically
Might and Magic weird.
Very weird.
Right.
The main bad guy ingests a lot of Adam. He basically turns into this Atlas type figure, and he's on screen. He's this huge muscular guy, and all the little sisters you defeat him, you sort of weaken him, and all this is just jump on him, and they all just sit there, about 15 of them just sit there with their needles just jabbing him.
Yeah, that was basically the group of my half.
It's so funny. It's sort of like this sort of terrifying moment. That's just so funny watching him getting jabbed and stabbed, and all his little sisters saying, "Game."
That was basically my halfling team versus a star player. I love Blood Bowl, and you know, any opportunity I get to play.
Is there a Tau team in it?
No, not that I'm aware of. So, you know, sorry, man. Although I do remember one guy back when I used to play Blood Bowl in high school. He wrote an entire stat sheet out so that he could have an Ultramarines Blood Bowl team.
What did he base them on?
Fucking no. It was stupid as all fuck. They looked dumb. They played really.
How did he balance it?
Well, let's just say here's balance. Go on.
Because Space Marines are jokingly made out that they're not that balanced to the point that people say that. Be honest, it feels like when you read the Space Marine Codex, it must have a rule that says at the start of the match, roll a d6 on a 2+ you automatically win.
Yeah,
it feels that's what it should be.
That was kind of the groove with this Blood Bowl team. It's like, you motherfucker. Yeah. Well, I actually remember I took part in a Blood Bowl tournament once, and the top 2 teams I think were Undead and Human. Human only literally because the guy that had the Human team had a star player that anything over a 1 would start a chainsaw, and any player he decided to blitz would instantly they were dead. They might as well just be fucking dead. They would instantly go straight the fuck down. You didn't have to worry about rolling like, oh, good, roll the d6 to see if I knock him on his ass. It's like there was a modifier on it with the chainsaw starter that would just, and it would run all fucking match. So you only had to roll it once. All match, he runs up to a player, rolls a fucking d6. Fuck it, just take him off the pitch, mate. He's won.
Yeah.
Gee, fuck.
Have you ever played normal Warhammer?
No, but I've had some of the models.
Perhaps I pick you up on normal Warhammer.
Normal Warhammer. With normal Skaven.
I'll lend you my fully painted Space Marine army. And you can have a go against my Space Cows.
Space Cows. It's we're gonna have to have some Blood Bowl games. I think we should like run a tabletop tournament at some point. I would like to see a D&D game played here.
Well, we discussed it before.
Yeah. I will say for the first few games I won't play. I have a character. I already have a character kind of plotted out.
I have as well.
Backstory and everything.
Likewise.
Because I actually sat here with Bard one evening. Because Bard kept on trying to invite me to one of his D&D groups. And I was like, mate, I ain't got time if I can sit down and do a whole D&D campaign. But just for the lols, we rolled a character. I think it was for D&D, the new one, 5.
5, yeah, it would have been 5.
I mean, I've got all the... I was so into the idea of potentially playing, like, you know, just getting everyone around for one night. I've bought... Because you were there, weren't you? I bought the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manuals and stuff like that, and...
Well, what we could do if you want, because I Dungeon Master, if you want, I could run a one shot if you want. Get a few mates round, and I can run a one shot like for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, I think we should do that at some point.
And just have a laugh.
Yeah, just for the lols.
Yeah.
You know what I really want to do? Play Neverwinter Nights again. They've released that on Nintendo Switch, but Bard says it's been feminazied, so...
Yeah, but that's Bard.
Yeah. Well, I think they have changed it a fair bit for the enhanced editions, but... Fuck, mate, Neverwinter Nights in my pocket?
Yeah.
I'll take it. Like, they could have the Dildo Brigade in it. I don't care.
It's probably got one character. It's probably got an extra female character in it, and that's a feminine.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, there's a female character who has opinions.
Oh my god!
Oh no, it's feminine.
Oh, one second.
I have to laugh because the game I've been playing. Segue.
Ooh, good job! I would high five you, but
I was reading after I played it. I was reading through the guide. Someone put a guide up on Steam because I failed miserably. I read the guide up on Steam, and it's talking about the characters at the very end. It's basically male character, male character, male character, and then female character said, "I guess the feminists won. They've added this female character." Like, dude, there are 6 characters. One of them is a woman. That's not even proportionally representation.
Wow.
So saying the feminists won.
To make it even
I'm
worse,
hoping
then,
it was a joke.
to make it even worse, you then say, well, that's gangbang territory right there. The feminists didn't win at all.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's a joke, but you never know. There are some strange people out there who have some very strange views. Unfortunately, there's a strange bunch of gamers with some very strange views.
Yeah, they're the strange neckbeards that live in their grandma's basements or whatever.
A woman, burn it, burn it!
Oh my God, it's got a vagina.
I've never seen one in real life.
Yeah, that's the
except my mother.
No, they don't even see their mums, mate. They scream at
She
them.
brings pizza down for me occasionally.
They push it under the door. They push it into my dungeon.
Look, we've established this, that since Just Eat and Amazon exists and Steam exists, a PC gamer never leaves the house.
See, if we were like America, where they have the basements with the little window, the little latch. You always see it in the stereotypical American thing where they have the window that lifts up for the basement. If the average American gamer fucking neckbeard is living in their mother's basements, they don't see anyone. They don't even see the delivery driver. The fucking thing just pops up and the pizza gets pushed through like a fucking slot to feed
like a prison cell.
Yeah.
Shump, shump, shump.
It's like they refuse to. Like they're sat there in their cloak. They refuse to fucking answer the door.
Yeah, they're playing their computer. They've dressed up as a character to play in the computer game,
and they have to have it pushed through the fucking thing. They won't even even if you try to open the fucking hatch to go down the stairs, they won't go there. You have to.
Once you open the hatch and they scuttle into the darkness, and you go down. It's like a spider. Scuttles into the darkness, and you go down there. It's like, James. James, are you down here?
You will refer to me as Lord whatever. It's like,
you refer to me as Lord Hathor.
It's like, oh my God.
Master of Dunimation.
And you're all like,
oh no.
You're one of those.
Oh dear. Okay, dear. I'll put your milk, your cookies.
Yeah, your fucking
here.
milk and cookies.
Yeah.
I can't think of a sufficiently nerdy thing to call milk and cookies, but.
I'll put them down there, or if America, but your PB&J or something. Yeah, I'll put them down here for you. In my vision, or basement dwelling sort of gamers, mainly PC gamers, because I'll be honest with you, it's mainly PC gamers.
Yeah,
as a PC gamer, I can say that. It's like because I'm fat, I can swear, I can insult fat people because I am fat. I can insult PC gamers. I know.
They don't know that. They can't see you unless they're watching the live stream or the VOD. Or
they can hear it in my voice.
They can hear weight in your voice.
Yeah.
How the fuck? Like
they can hear the calories being consumed as I speak.
There's dietitians only going, yep,
he's a fat bastard. He's a fat. I need to get the livestock scales again and weigh myself again. Just find out what I'm saying again. Anyway, my vision of all these games is they're based like Gollum. It's all like high, sort of like precious console. Oh shit! Precious Steam.
Steam.
There's a little shrine to Gabe in one corner.
If they're consoles, they sound like they talk like wiggers. So they're white guys with their fucking stupid hats on back to front, and the trousers so fucking big they can't keep them up. And I'm saying they're not the guys like me that are so fucking skinny that they just can't keep a pair of trousers on. It's not that I'm also into indecent exposure, but
in my head, this is my 2 gamers I visualise in my head.
Okay,
PC gamers are in their 30s, quite overweight, and basically have no sort of social awareness or skills, and sit in front of computers all day and just are interested in hardware and eat pizza. Okay?
I'm even worse because I'm a Linux PC gamer.
Okay. Yeah, but you've got a beard, so you're all right.
I'm a wizard.
Console gamers are all 12 years old.
Yeah.
And they all and all they know are racist phrases.
I was gonna say they all drop the N-bomb every 5 seconds.
Exactly.
They say that your mother's a fucking.
Exactly. They all think that's how they act online. That is my 2 games in my head.
I just want to throw out there.
I will say I fit mainly in the former.
I'm probably a grey area because just so you know, if you let your kids online, and I'm on the mic, oh, they are gonna fucking suffer.
I've got a tangent time.
Okay, go for
it. I heard on the news this week, people are saying there's consideration to put rules in place. And I'm going to be butchering this news story totally.
I heard something about like they were blocking people on CS:GO or something stupid like that. Was that what you're talking about?
No, they want to basically make it so that content hosters like YouTube, Facebook, have to be more responsible for controlling what young kids can see.
Oh yeah, the protection of children thing.
Yeah, and they had this woman who was voiced by an actor come on the radio, right, saying that her young kid was using Snapchat and was potentially being groomed online. She said they're using Snapchat and all this sort of stuff, and people, there's not enough protection in place. And I just sat down and said, "Do you know what, love? Why aren't you?" And I'm admittedly, your parents, you can answer this better than I can.
I was raising my hand for the audio listeners, the audio viewers.
I'm going to have my little rant here.
Okay.
Why is it always the technology's fault?
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Because you're the parent.
Yeah.
For starters, if they've got some sort of smartphone, you've given it to them. They've not gained that themselves. Somebody's given that smart device. Somebody's given that smart device. Okay, they've got it from somewhere. Okay, you have control of that. If you can't sit there and go, "Oh, what's this Snapchat? I'm sure it's harmless." You've got responsibility to check out what they're installing.
So I want to throw it out there. Okay, so I'm a parent. I've got 2 boys. Both of my kids have PCs. They both have tablets, and I don't have a single parental restriction on either of their device, like on either of my kids' devices.
Okay.
I check what the fuck they are doing, and if I catch them doing anything that I think is just no, they're fucking banned from it straight out. The only thing I have flat out blocked is YouTube, and that's just because my younger son's addicted to fuck out of it. And my eldest son he parrots things from YouTube, so I was just like, YouTube's a piece of shit. If you want, in fairness, my sons have both figured out how to bypass the fact that I've actually literally full-blown blocked the YouTube URL from
they've done their first proxy, have they?
Yeah, no. They figured out that only YouTube.com is blocked. So anything from YouTube.com and then asterisk blocked. However, that doesn't stop video downloading sites from accessing YouTube.com. So they search on Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever it is that they choose for the thing that they want, and then they download the bastard thing. I was like, you motherfucking...
It's like... It's a combination of annoyance but proudness at the same time.
Yeah, I was like
you bastards. That's very clever. I'm very proud of you, but you're a bastard.
No, I know. I said that to my son. I was like, you complete and utter little fucker. Good job. I was like, I'm not in trouble. I was like, no. Very clever.
Well done.
Very good. Remind me to up security next time. Which reminds me actually of a post. A chap I know, Arthur, is a hardcore Linux user. He posted it up on Instagram, and it was.
Is there any other type?
And it was something from. Like, it might have been a joke, like some random UK thing. And it's like, and it's got like Tor and some like random like Metasploit and like Kali Linux style stuff.
I know what this is. This is what the West Midlands Police put out their leaflets.
Yes. Yeah.
I've not mentioned this.
If you see your children with any of this stuff on it, contact authorities or some shit like that.
Discord's on it.
And fucking and I didn't see that. I didn't pay attention.
Discord was on it.
And Arthur put on there like, is your kid like hashtag hacker? And I went, no. But if they were, I'd fucking give them the biggest hug of their fucking lives.
I saw that. That's been on Reddit all week. People post it as a joke because like they've got no clue, and it's like, does your child use Kali Linux? They might be. It's like it's a drug.
Mate, if my kid's hacking your shit and your security sucks,
but
that's your own fucking fault.
It's the Discord bit I found amusing. It's like, Discord is a site commonly used to share hacking tips. I thought, I'm sure there probably does exist at some place like that on Discord that does that.
No, I've seen it.
But a lot of Discord sites don't do that. That's like saying, the internet has hacking tips on it. Well, technically that is true.
Yeah, but that's like the local coffee shop is the home of drug dealers. It's like,
there's probably a drug dealer there at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in fairness, man, I've been offered drugs in fucking like game.
It's funny. It's strange how I never have been. I wonder why.
In fairness, I will say, the dude was ballsy as fuck because, I mean, this was literally more crowded than a mosh pit. Like, you could have gone to a gig. There were less people at a gig that I've gone to recently than at this game store. And the guy literally fucking, like, squeezes past all these people and says, "Hey, man, do you want some weed?" And I'm like, "Nah, mate, I'm good." I was like, "What the fuck, man? You're right in the middle of a store. How the fuck?"
See, I'm just saying, I'm like, drug dealer here. Look, there's a drug dealer right here. Him. He's drug dealer. He's selling weed.
So fucking
good prices. Buy one get one free.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, "Fucking weed, mate. Yeah." Anyway,
first 10 customers get a free gram. I don't know if that.
Fuck! Don't say that to people. They'd take his fucking legs.
Exactly. Oh. That's how you deal with them.
That's how you deal with them is say, "Look, I just want to throw out there, if anyone's had to deal with a drug dealer, and
when you say deal, is this quotation marks deal?"
Well, no, but right. So here's the trick. Despite what I look like, I have never smoked or injected in my fucking life. I drink, that's as hard as I fucking go. I fight, that's as hard as I fucking go. But I will never fucking inject, and I will never fucking smoke. But if you say no to a drug dealer, they go the fuck away. They don't argue with you. They just go away. They fade back into the crowd. They're not the fucking devil. They're just like, "Yeah, I want to make a few bucks." Say no. They're gone.
They might have sales targets.
Well, they might do, but
look,
then
they have
they're not the pimps of the fucking drug world,
he's
dude.
got sales targets. He's got his performance review coming up. You know, he needs to push sales. And it's getting to
his boss is a bitch.
He's been the lowest drug dealer of the quarter so far. You know, he's going to lose his annual bonus at this rate.
Yeah, it's like the Discworld and the Thieves Guild.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's a cut in the frost world. You know, drug dealing. You know, it's
poor bastards.
Yeah.
Well, then all right. Then I'll buy an eighth from the fucker just to make him happy. But I'll never fucking smoke it.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask something. Right. This is between. I'm about to embarrass myself.
Okay, it's between you, me, and the podcast. All right.
An eighth. Is that an eighth of a gram?
I'm not even going to answer that question.
Is it though?
I'm not answering the question.
Oh, go on, please.
No.
I'll Google it on your Wi-Fi.
Motherfucker. No, I'm still not going to answer it.
Right,
in fairness, that's the.
Here we go.
In fairness, that'll be the least dodgy search they'll have all week.
Where can I buy weed? Let's Google that on your Wi-Fi.
Also, go to Amazon and look up. Go and get a digital scale. And then Google how much fucking black tar heroin is.
What is...
Is he literally doing this on
yes.
my Wi-Fi, motherfucker? And he's not using a VPN either.
No.
Mate, you know the fact that fucking the police will knock on my door and they'll go, "Oh, it's you." And they'll just walk away.
Well, Firefox says no. Firefox just doesn't want to work. Just doesn't want
Firefox says you are not looking up how to buy weed.
But I have another web browser open.
Please
as well.
tell me you didn't Google that.
Yes, I just did.
Oh, motherfucker! You could have gone DuckDuckGo on that.
What? Well, you had the opportunity.
Oh, motherfucker! No.
But no, you had.
Yeah, but if I say that I know, if I know the answer, then people are going to think I'm a druggie. I already look like a thug as is.
Well, there's a website called the Weed Blog. The marijuana news and information website.
Okay, cool.
Oh, it's an eighth of an ounce.
Weed isn't legal over here, is it?
I think
there's no way that you.
Well, it's not legal, but it's basically they're not too. I think unless they're really in the pit,
you have to
they're
be
not too
proper
fussy.
carrying for.
Oh, 3.5 grams. Right. Okay. Okay.
You know what? You now know more than the average fucking stoner.
Well, you see, what was confusing me is I didn't think to myself that it'd be based on imperial measurements. I thought they might have got with the times and moved into the metric world.
Come on, man.
And they'd be
stoned.
I suppose saying can I have a 3.5? It doesn't roll off the tongue quite so easily, does it? As can I have an eighth?
Well, no, because they don't even call it an eighth. They call it a Henry now.
Why Henry?
Henry VIII.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. It's fucking. Don't ask.
I'm about to warn you. I'm about to sneeze.
Good job. I'm not cutting that out.
Well, I'm sorry. My apologies to all the audio listeners, all the headphone listeners out there. I did aim away from the microphone, but I don't think that was very successful.
But I'm an inconsiderate wanker, so don't worry about it.
Anyway, it's now 45 minutes in. Perhaps we should go on to games we've been playing.
Perhaps we should actually talk about something.
So,
other than drugs.
Other than drugs.
Hey man, do you want some weed? Oh, I need to get Up in Smoke by Cheech and Chong, because you got to think, right? 420 for a whole fucking month, dude. Damn. Do you know what's really annoying? The sheer number of people I know that smoke fucking weed.
Fucking hell, that freaked the fuck out of me.
Way, that's a cute fucking little critter, isn't it?
Sorry, I just looked at the screen and there's the most terrifying seal.
Yeah.
On the screen, and it's like possessed.
Cute as fuck.
It's possessed.
Just imagine that's the average PC gamer when someone opens up the door.
It is. It's baring its teeth. It's emerging out of some weeds. It's got, it's clearly been possessed by some sort of Slanesh or Zinch or something, and it's coming right for me. I just looked up and just staring at me.
Right for us. It's underwater. Pulls a shotgun. So that's not going to work, Ram. Yeah, the
shotguns do work underwater.
Oh, don't say that.
Not very long range, but they do work.
That's like when we said about helicopters in World War films. They did have helicopters.
Yes, I looked that up after you said about it. However, the helicopter they have in Where Eagles Dare is definitely not.
Nowhere near what we have in films, but still.
In the same way they had jet planes in World War II, they technically did. But
they made out gaffer tape and cable ties.
Out of the German version that basically had left its undercarriage behind when it took off, so it had to sort of land on its belly. They had one that ran on hydrogen peroxide, its oxidizer, which meant if that got crashed, there's a good chance the pilot might get dissolved in hydrogen peroxide.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Just don't fuck up.
Yeah, just don't crash.
Yeah, avoid death.
What does this machine run on? Sulfuric acid. Oh, good to know.
Good to know.
There are tanks all around you. Good to know.
What happens if I crash? You're dead.
You're dead, and it will hurt the whole time you're dying.
It will hurt even after you're dead.
Yeah.
There won't be anything left for us to scrape up and send to your widow.
Yeah.
So.
It's okay. We'll put some wood ash in a box and say it's you. She won't know the difference.
Spray some of your fucking cologne on it. That'll be fine.
Fine, yeah. Well, would you like to be represented by an oak tree?
That's part of the sign-up form.
Yeah, maple. Which tree do you identify as oak?
No. They won't even do that. It's based on rank.
Oh, right, okay. So in the officers, is it because obviously oak's quite high up there, I'd have thought.
Yeah, so you'd have to, you can't have anything decent for scrubs that are on the field. Fuck them.
So they get pine, do they?
I don't even know if they get that. They get spit and cable
MDF.
Fucking MDF in World War One.
I'm sure MDF existed back then. Right, googling that. This is tangent.
So fuck, he's looking for drugs and MDF
history.
That's what's really funny if you then type in MDA and people are like, fucking hell, mate.
The history of MDF.
The history. Okay. Are you on your Google account whilst we're doing this? Or the Rand Nerds one, because that's even
Rand
worse.
Nerds one.
Oh,
so
Christ.
it was MDF as we know it was first out in the US in the 1960s, but a similar product, hardboard, which is, let's face it, is far inferior to MDF in many ways, was
never thought of it.
Was accidentally invented by William Mason in 1925. How do you accidentally invent hardboard? What the fuck is this? It's meant to be a souffle.
Yeah, that's it. What happened to my quiche?
Oh, this is all I wanted anyway.
What happened to my steak and kidney pie?
Yeah, I've invented hardboard.
What happened to my egg and chips?
Yeah. I don't think.
What happened to my youngest son?
No, what it was, you see, his father was a German pilot who crashed, got dissolved. They sent him some wood in a box. He thought it'd be really nice to compress his father's ashes and in doing so, invented hardboard.
So what you're saying is hardboard is dead German soldiers. So,
Pilots.
but dead German pilots. I apologise. How many fucking German pilots are there for all the MDF in them? Hardboard.
Oh, hardboard. They went through quite a lot.
Well, yeah, but still.
This doesn't mean every time I sell a piece of hardboard, I'm actually a Nazi sympathiser.
You could very well be.
Possibly.
I mean, most of the shit we do.
Now, the trouble is that must mean that modern hardboard can't be made from Nazi pilots because they are, let's put it honestly, they're not a common resource these days.
I was going to say,
they're
going to run out
endangered.
eventually.
I can't think there are many Nazis. I mean, I know they've got the alt-right movement. I mean, Trump's helping the alt-right movement in America, so maybe he's...
Do you think they really... Do you think they make... Do you think the alt-right movement is...
It's not as good as proper Nazi.
That's what I was saying. Do you think
it's not as good as the old stuff. But it's not as... You can't make the hardboard out of the Nazis. What the fuck are we discussing?
Good job. Games we've been playing.
How did we get on to making hardboard out of Nazi pilots? I mean... This is
why... Look, this
is why we have Carling when we do podcasts.
This is quite possibly the most... This is the most underrated podcast in history.
There's a friend of mine...
Someone's going to look at this in 50 years' time and they're going to piss themselves off.
There's a friend of mine who listens to our podcast. He drives a lot. He listens to our podcast. He says, and I was very surprised, he's catching up gradually.
Bugger.
Yeah. I want to say, Jamie, I'm sorry that you've had to listen to this nonsense for the last...
College, Jamie.
50... Yes.
You poor fucker.
This last 50 minutes and 40 seconds, you've had to listen to this nonsense. I'm sure as you're reaching your next core, the first thing you'll be thinking as we walk in there is hardboard made from Nazi pilots. I'm sorry.
I'm not.
Not that sorry.
Also, remember not to run in Ghost Recon and try and machine gun people down.
No, don't do that.
Because that's a dick move.
Now, that's a callback to episode 1 of the podcast. Nice one. Yeah. Anyway... Games, because I'm meant to be doing a short podcast so I can get back to back.
So you can go to sleep.
So I go back, make sure nothing's blown away, and go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Right, game of playing. So, this week, I've played a game called 60 Parsecs.
Okay.
It is. So, it's actually got 2 stages. The first stage is all of literally like a minute and a half long, and then the rest of the game's completely different. So the first stage, you are on a spaceship. It's set in like an alternative future 1950s, 60s world where space travel's the norm. Lots of people on the sort of living on space stations, what have you.
Now, just throw out there, when did we land on the moon?
I have no idea. All I know is we've got a space station and people living on it.
Okay.
And the world gets destroyed in nuclear war. There are nukes inbound to your space station. You've got 60 seconds to basically... get as much equipment as you can in the shuttle, including other people.
So there's other people are equipment.
So there are. You have to basically walk up and pick some. That everybody else is like sort of stuck. They're all conveniently stuck in like machines or foot travel, whatever. And you have to go rescue them and throw them in the shuttle, and then all your equipment, and then you have to get in the shuttle before. And you literally get an old countdown clock. You have to get in the shuttle before the missiles hit. So you run around, you grab like soup. And yes, soup's a big resource in this game.
Soup,
crafting materials, medical kits,
Frank,
all that sort of stuff. Yeah, Frank, April.
Yeah,
actually it's called. And you pick a character at the start, and your character's different stats. You throw them on the ship, and then you basically get the hell out of there. And you find yourself 60 parsecs away from Earth.
Okay.
I can't remember what a parsec is, but it's quite a long way. I think it's something like a sort of solar system length or something like that.
Oh, I couldn't say.
Well, that's how it's something to do with light years. I think it's the analogy of light years. You find yourself 60 parsecs away, as you do.
As you do.
So then, basically, it's a sort of turn-based. I can't. I'm trying to remember what sort of game class it is, but it's like sort of like a. So every turn of the game, you're in your little capsule. There's all 4 of you there. If you've rescued all 4, you might not even bother to rescue anybody. It might just be you and just all these resources. There's all 4 of you in this capsule, and you have sort of choices. Everybody will have, and what?
This is you and the fucking hardboard.
Yeah. There's no hardboard in this game.
Motherfucker.
Nor Nazi pilots that I'm aware of.
Well, we ran out of them.
Yeah, we ran out of them. So you have to every turn. There's basically like there's usually a little like terminal that tells you like what's going on, like a current updated version. There's like a central computer that basically gives you like a choice to make for that turn. And it's usually something like, okay, we think that like oh no, I've detected like there's a hull breach. We need to repair it and so forth. Who should we send to repair it? And you'll get like the 4 options. You pick one. And then there's like an end turn leave. What's neat about it is that it won't let you end the turn till you've done everything. Okay. So like it's like held behind like a source, and every turn's a day effectively. And it's held behind like a little like panel, and then it won't open until you've done everything you need to do. So you make your choices, you end the turn, and then going to the next stage. So over time, you have to worry about food, and people start to starve. So my first game I played a guy called Emmett, who's a genius. I rescued April. I rescued a guy called Baby, who's thick as 2 short planks.
I'd never have guessed.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of the other guy I picked up, but he was like sort of slightly cocky guy, but he's quite well balanced set of stats. So each character, yeah, he's very dashing, so not quite.
No, I was going to say, is he a complete psychopath when it comes to audio?
So yeah, he might be. There are 3 stats you have. So you have intelligence, agility, and strength. Okay. And that's what everybody boils down to. So you'll basically get, and sometimes you'll have things like, okay, this job might need someone who's quite strong. Oh, well, I'll get this guy to do it because he's the strongest of the lot. That's all like decision making. You'll make all decisions. Depending on what you do, the next turn when you go, the computer will report back what happened. It's a bit like choose your own adventure type thing. Okay. Like, okay, who should we do here? You can pick so. Okay, go. This is what happens afterwards. So it's all very turn based. You eventually unlock a crafting station where you can like craft things.
I've never guessed.
Yep. So you can make more soup. Soup is very important because that's what basically your food stuff. So people can starve to death. Okay. Eventually, if you're lucky, you'll find your way to land on a planet. And if you land on a planet, then you might make contact with the natives. And the planet
is that 61 parsecs away?
It might be. There are like 3 random planets you can land on, and basically, if you complete the planet, you basically end the game. That's like the end of the game. If you complete the planet, you sort of get your ending and what have you. So it's a resource management game. It's quite tough. So like say a medical kit, it takes like 3 days to make one. Yeah. And you can't make anything else. Whereas a can of soup takes 1 day. So you've got to really juggle.
I'll take soup over antibiotics at this point.
But you see, people might go out. If you said, when you're down on the planet, you can send people out on expeditions. Yeah. You've only got 1 spacesuit, so you can send 1 person out at a time. And they can go out. And basically, as you land on the planet, you'll have like certain locations that you can say, okay, I'll send this person here.
It's kind of like My Life as the King.
I've not played it, but could be. Yeah. So basically, what you'll have is like, okay, I want to do an expedition. Okay, here's the person. I need to pick a person. I need to pick where they're going to go. I need to pick what equipment I'm going to give them. Okay. And you give them like a spade or shovel, and off they go, and they'll do stuff and so forth.
Did you say a spade or a shovel?
Yeah.
Or a 2
Shovels are good. Shovels are useful.
Versus a spade that...
if you send... And what equipment you send out with them will determine what happens on that mission. So they'll come back and say, oh yeah, on the way back, he used his shovel to like sort of hit some rocks and found some minerals we can use and what have you. The whole time this is going on, though, resources are dwindling down. You run out of food. One of my fairly early on, I was basically couldn't produce. Because you need chemicals to make soup. Water's a chemical, and you need water in soup. So
I'll give you that.
You need chemicals to make soup, and I had a ability where I generate a chemical resource a day, but that takes you only get like 10 chemical resources to make 1 soup. Which means basically you'll never ever be able to produce enough to keep everybody going. You need to like find it and resource and scavenge it.
What kind of soup is this? Unicorn soup?
It must be good stuff.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And so gradually over time, what's really neat is the graphics. Is they subtly changed. some or officers. So like your main characters will gradually start looking. So over time, all the men gradually their beards get longer over time. It's very Peter Molyneux. They do, but as every day goes on, and like the computer's got like this little ticker tape printout, and every day it gets slightly lower. No, it's got a bit. But gradually, and then it piles up on the floor, and it gradually gets bigger and bigger and bigger as every day continues. That's a neat little feature they put into it. But eventually, you know, your car will start. They'll start looking like really gaunt and worn out, and as they start starving to death.
That's nice.
Eventually they die and become a skeleton.
And eventually they die and become hardboard.
Yeah. So I was doing my best to sort of keep these guys going.
Yeah.
And I basically couldn't produce enough because I was getting trouble is every sort of like event that happens, you might need like resources. So like, okay, we've got this leak. What are you going to do? And you might have the option of like use duct tape, use a sock puppet, or do nothing. Oh, there's sock puppets in this as well. Sock puppets stave off insanity.
No, I've seen a few people that fuck around with sock puppets. That's definitely the cause of insanity.
No, it staves off insanity. We know it's from Red Dwarf.
Yeah,
Mr. Fibble.
Have you ever seen the Norwich Puppet Man?
He is perfectly sane.
No, I would probably actually say yes, he is.
And the Norwich Puppet Man is a staple of Norwich.
No, I've seen him in Yarmouth too. And Lowestoft.
Is he moving?
He travels.
He's on tour.
Yeah, damn right.
Norwich Puppet Man on tour. He's marvellous. Now, that is something you would not get in London. Let's be honest.
Oh, fuck London, that's a trash heap anyway.
Exactly. Norwich Puppet. If you're not from Norwich or East Anglia, Google the Norwich Puppet Man. Honestly, he's the best thing about Norwich.
Yeah, for sure. I hate that city.
He's the best thing. He's the best thing about East Anglia.
Someone said to me, "Why do you hate Norwich so much?" Because like we were going through, I was going to live stream a Monopoly game of Norwich Monopoly the other day. Someone said to me, "Why do you hate Norwich so much?" And I gave such a fucking like pissant scumbag answer, like, you know, the generic "you've got nothing." So you say, "Oh shit."
Yeah,
that was it. Why do you hate Norwich so much, Skazz? Because it's shit. It's like, do you have a reason as to why it's shit? The fucking people. It's like,
except
well,
the Puppet Man.
Well, yeah, other than Puppet Man.
Thank you.
Yeah, bless him.
Bless him.
He's still going there then.
He's still going. He's still doing his puppets.
Yeah,
bless him.
He's singing now.
Yeah, he was doing that in Yard.
He's got. I don't know. He's YouTube. Well, there'll be a link in the show notes for that. So, anyway, yes, basically one of my guys eventually. So basically, over time,
one of your guys is the
starved to death and became a skeleton.
Okay.
And left on the ship, and because I just couldn't have enough food, and I'm gradually. I mean, I'm self-sacrificing. I'm gradually starving to death myself. I'm also sick and dying because I got some sort of nasty infection. My other two, I'm saying out missions, and they're finding some good resources. And there's actually like a story. There's like a set. There are certain things you have to do to move the story on. So I had to build a communicator, which I put for a very long time. Eventually, I built it, and eventually I was able to move the story on.
Okay.
And then if you complete the story, that's what then triggers the ending.
Okay.
So I got to sort of day 48. By day 48, my entire crew is dead because there was a leak on the shuttle and everybody was starting to... It's potentially poisonous. I couldn't do anything about it because I had no duct tape to fix it. So everybody died except me. And I just sat there and I'm just sat all alone. And I can't... Because you can't leave the shuttle. The captain's not allowed to leave.
Okay.
So I was just stuck there. I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I want to survive this. And in the end, about 2 days later, I starved. I succumbed to my illness and died. So 48 days, and I absolutely fucked it up.
I love it when people say they succumb to their illness. I love that. It's just great. It's like, oh, they fucking died. They sucked so hard at life, they died. Which everyone does, by the way. It's
yeah,
a one-to-one thing.
That's what makes us all the same.
Yeah.
At some point, we'll all die. Except Gabe Newell, who's, as we know, a living deity. And the Norwich Puppet Man.
the Norwich Puppet Man, Gabe Newell.
Yeah. That's Warhammer got it wrong. It isn't Khorne, Slaanesh, Tzeentch, and the other one. I I've forgotten his name.
That
Nurgle.
one.
It's the Puppet Man, Gabe Newell.
Taxman. Can't kill the Taxman.
No, it's true. Taxes in general,
Yeah.
but it's no sort of physical. It's more like a. It's
The
more like,
Taxman is just an agent.
yeah, Taxman. So Gabe Newell, the Puppet Man, Taxman. I'm trying to think who else must be up there. We need some sort of devilish god up there, don't we? Donald Trump.
You saying
Right.
the Taxman isn't devilish?
Compared to Donald Trump, no. I mean, the Taxman's probably the only one who potentially could take down Donald Trump.
Maybe. No, because fucking the Don would ignore all of it. He has no idea.
That's the eternal war, you see. In my new peripheral I've created, the eternal war between the Taxman and Donald Trump are constantly fighting.
Because he's got the fucking...
He's got tax returns to file. The Taxman's determined for those tax returns. Donald Trump refuses to file because he's doing tax dodges. And the first
He's got the
war
bigliest
continues.
dodges ever.
Yeah. And then the god of culture, the Puppet Man, is out there. And then the god of living in your basement, Gabe Newell, is out there as well. And thus, the pantheon is complete.
And you said that Bud was the master of creating up all this fucking shit. Good job.
Thank you.
I like that. Good job. Someone clip that.
I'm now going to make my Warhammer 40,000 competitor. I don't think I'll be so successful.
Well, you never know.
Never know. Yeah, it's great. It's a game you can play. You'll play like a run through of it in about an hour.
Yeah.
You know, your main little decisions, and it's fairly straightforward. It does get sort of like situations where, like, okay, I can't do anything here because I haven't got these resources. My only option is to do nothing.
My only option is to die.
Pretty much. He's like, I can't do anything here. I haven't got any of these. I can't. Or what's more frustrating is like, okay, I can make duct tape. I can do that. But I can't do it now.
That's a copyrighted material.
Because when you create it, all right, I create gaffer tape. When I create gaffer tape, no, I'm calling it duct, as in D-U-C-T, not D-U-C-K.
What dodge right there?
I can make duct tape tomorrow, but I need it today.
That's not good enough.
That's the thing. And that's like, I can't solve this problem.
You should have been better prepared.
Yeah. I really fucked up. I didn't have enough soup. I didn't collect enough soup right at the start. Everybody died.
Awesome.
I was the worst captain ever.
Good job, man. I could probably think of worse.
What?
So platforms, price.
Oh no! Why would you ask me a technical question like that?
Because fucking I've avoided asking these questions for a while now since we happy for you. Get on it.
60 parsecs. Well, something all that version.
It's a game. It's on a platform, likely fucking Windows. I don't know. Steam.
It's definitely on Windows.
53 fucking pounds. It's not. Fuck, it'd be funny if it was.
Also, Nintendo Switch.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
It says a dark comedy sci-fi. It isn't a dark comedy sci-fi. If that's what they class as dark comedy, they really need to.
Yeah, dark comedy. They need to look up the definition of dark.
They do
comedy.
really.
The fact it's in space doesn't make it dark.
So on Steam, it is $6.99. Yeah, that's about right. Because
platforms.
So on Steam, it will run on
Everything? Nothing?
Windows and Apple.
Oh, fucking lame. Right, I spoke to a developer a while ago. Is it Lumo? The developer of Lumo? The one with the little wizard fucking thing. It's like an isometric game where you play as a little wizard. He said, yeah, I've just looked at the Steam sales chart for you know what developers and publishers get access to, like, and he's like, he was talking about the max sales, and someone said, oh yeah, well fucking, you know, way more, like you probably got like, you know, 1 million more than Linux, and they're like, well actually, funny enough, the Linux fucking users were probably the biggest sellers for the game on Steam. I said, yeah, well, because there's this crazy thing that developers seem to get into their head that Macs can play games. They can't. Look at the fucking price you have to pay to get a Mac to play a game. You're talking thousands. Thousands of pounds for a dedicated graphics card. A Linux gamer only has to spend a couple £100, and bam, they're in. Why are you focusing on developing games for the fucking Mac? Yes, there are more users, but there are less that can play games. Stop it. It's fucking dumb. Moving on.
A parsec is 3.26 light years.
That's good to know.
There you go.
So they travelled a hell of a distance in such a short...
Yeah, 60, so that's 32 times 6. 190, about 200 light years, roughly.
Bit out of the way, then.
A little bit. That's going to take a very long time. Assuming they haven't got fast light travel. Well, they must have, because they got there. But as soon as it's like a one-way trip, it's going to take...
everyone was dead when they got there.
Yeah. It's going to take a long, 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 very long, longish,
maybe,
long time to get back here.
Good times.
Cool. Oh, yes, that's his Parsecs. Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
Awesome.
What have you been playing?
You know what? I don't actually know.
How do you not know?
See, that's the thing.
You could say, I haven't played anything, but I don't know.
Well, I have.
Which implies you've been playing something, but you don't know what this mysterious game is. This is the start of a trial episode.
So I've already mentioned about how I have mentioned about how I've been playing Overcooked and stuff with the wife in there, right?
No.
I'm sure I did, where you have to basically cook.
We've talked about Overcooked before. We talked about it when we did our refresh on the 24-hour podcast last year.
Yeah, which is basically like I've played that for a bit with the wife, but I've been keeping my website, my 1995 Skazz.com style, the HTML only website, up to date with like every time I beat a game I put it on a list, except I've forgotten to do it, and my memory's really crap, so I've forgotten what games I finished recently, so the list is now just completely out the window. So the only thing I can think of that I've been playing that I haven't spoken about before is Final Fantasy VIII Remastered.
No, I definitely have spoken about that.
No, I'm pretty sure I haven't, because I didn't have it up until Valentine's Day.
Well, then definitely haven't talked about it.
There you go. So I might.
That was yesterday.
Exactly. So, yesterday was Valentine's Day. It's a shit day.
It is a shit day. It's a day all about commercialism, and they've conned you into buying stuff for your thing, and it's disgusting.
It is. And
every time I see, oh look, I went out and bought my wife this thing, I say, you've been conned, mate. You've been conned to think that you have to go and buy something. You've contributed to the corporate culture. You person, if you, turns out there, ladies, if you're listening, if you want something for Valentine's Day, I'm not interested.
Ooh, Ram.
If you're, because at that point you're just, what do you call it? You're just about commercialism.
Yeah, for sure. Now I will be honest. I don't give a shit about Valentine's Day. If I don't buy anything for Inky, she'll kick me in the butt.
I'll cook you a nice meal, not you.
Oh, wouldn't you? Oh,
no.
Come on, mate.
No, I'll do you a ready meal or something.
I'll take the ready meal.
Yeah.
I love you too,
I'll
mate.
cook someone a nice meal on Valentine's Day. That's
bet.
fine. But if they fit and buy
Which is
them,
reasonable. I'd say that's a reasonable.
yeah.
thing for
But if they
Valentine's
fit and buy them, like take them up to a posh restaurant, ain't
I'll
happening.
bollocks to that. Like I think.
Or if they fit buying like if they fit and buying like sort of roses or anything like that shit.
None of that.
Not happening.
My wife wanted. She actually wanted something. But it wasn't Valentine's Day related. There were a couple of books my wife wanted, so I just used Valentine's Day as an excuse to spend the money on them.
Exactly my point. If you love someone, you'll buy them gifts.
I buy Inky stuff all the time.
Exactly. You don't need to be forced at a specific day you should buy them. Birthdays, fine. Christmas, fine. Valentine's Day, pfft.
Yeah, pretty much. I was pretty much the same. I was like, you know what? I need an excuse. Like, I want to buy Inky the books. Her birthday's not until the end of the year. I don't think I was actually thinking about it. I could have bought it for our anniversary, but well, there you go. Fuck it, early anniversary present. So I bought the wife some books that she wanted. But because it was Valentine's Day, there's an opening line. The intro video for Final Fantasy VIII has this really cheesy, lovey-dovey, I promise you I love you, I'll always be there kind of line to it. I was like, you know what, I need a game to play today on stream. But the wife isn't here. We've been playing through Overcooked 1 and 2. She was out in the city buying some bits and bobs for the event that won't be mentioned. Not until the next podcast. Not until after I've evicted a few people from low-income houses. But, yeah, she was out in the city. And so I was like, fuck it.
You mean when Mayonnaise goes public on the stock market?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You know, that event. There you go. Get ready, people. Get ready.
We're going big.
We're floating.
I'm selling a share.
A share? Ooh, you even got one? I thought I had them all. I thought Middlemeister had them all.
No, he's got half a share.
Half a share?
He gave me 10p this morning for it.
I was going to say, between him and Bard, they have a share.
Yeah.
And all the guests have got half a share.
No, all the guests have got half a share. We've got a share each, because we want to maintain voting dominance in this situation. We can't let the upstarts sort of get involved.
Yeah, you have a fair point. That could turn into chaos. I mean, it's already pretty fucking hardcore now.
Well, there's three shares going around here. I might introduce a fourth.
That could get bad. Anyway, yeah, it's got this really cheesy, promising "I love you, I'll always be there" line in the intro video.
Do you mean I love you?
Yeah, it's kind of. It's like, you know, I'll be waiting here. Why? Because, you know, if you come here, you'll find me and all that shit. Which is a nice line because it actually ties into later on in the story. But I was like, I need a game to play on this day. My wife isn't here to finish Overcooked 2 because she's got better things to do than hang out with me. On Valentine's Day, she was hanging out with her friends. So fuck it, I'm going to play Final Fantasy VIII. And I thought I already had Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, which in itself is a miracle because there was a rumour going around a few years ago that Square Enix, because I've spoken about this on podcast, Square Enix had that it was rumoured that they'd lost the source code for Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah, I know, mental. Some fucker had the nerve to say to me years ago, did you not hear about the fucking tsunamis and earthquakes that hit Japan? I was like, dude, you're telling me a fucking huge-ass multi-million fucking pound company like Square Enix can't afford an off-site backup? Like,
yeah, that's, yeah.
And it was at that point they were like, it costs lots of money. It's like,
no, it doesn't.
That's one of their biggest fucking franchises. You're telling me they couldn't take the source code for Final Fantasy VIII, dump it on a fucking hard drive or a pen drive, and fucking ship it to the States? Or ship it to the UK? Or fucking, I don't know.
That's a bullshit argument, isn't it?
Yeah, it was absolutely jank. But, you know, the rumour has that they lost all the source code. And it's like, well, we'll never... Because they had a Final Fantasy VII remaster. They had a Final Fantasy IX remaster. But no hint of a Final Fantasy VIII remaster.
Can I just point out decompilers are a thing?
Oh, don't say that. Don't use logic and reasons.
I've lost the source code. Decompile it. But I've lost the source code. Decompile it. And look, you've got the source code back.
I was talking.
Wow.
I'd actually been talking to a guy about how they rewrote a load of really old stuff. Like, it might have been Diablo 2 or whatever. And it was apparently that some versions of games were shipped with just pretend random files. I can't remember the entire fluff to it, but there were random files included that you'd normally include in like beta tests, and it would have like all of the arrays listed in like a file, and they were then able to reverse from that basically the color what happens when shit happens, and they kind of just went backwards. They reverse engineered the entire game and rewrote the code. And we were like, you know, maybe they did that with Final Fantasy VIII. Anyway, regardless, we never thought that a remaster of 8 was going to come. A remaster came, and I thought I already had it. I wanted a game to play on Valentine's Day. I didn't have it, so I fucking bought it for the grand total of 15 quid from Nintendo Switch. For a remaster, fuck me, it's nice.
Hmm?
I'm confused though. I'm sure. Can someone just throw out there? Does Final Fantasy VIII have analog controls? Meaning that when you use the analog stick, if you move the stick a little bit, do the characters just walk, or do they run all the time and you have to press a button? Because the remaster doesn't seem to have a walk when you move the stick thing. You have to press another button, which is fucking annoying. And there seems to be a bit of delay in button presses. Right, so Final Fantasy VIII it tells the story of a bunch of student mercenaries who... I know. You're already looking at me as if saying, what the fuck? Student mercenaries.
I remember my sister played this game. She couldn't get on the train.
Oh yeah, that's like mission 2 or 3. Yeah, she couldn't get on the train.
No, she couldn't get on the train. She couldn't get on the train.
What do you mean she couldn't get on the train?
She couldn't get on the train. She tried it, got as far as the train, couldn't get on it, and then I couldn't figure out how to get on the train, so she stopped playing and never played it ever again.
Oh wow, it's actually a pretty good game to be fair, but okay.
If you can get on the train.
Yeah, if you can get on the train. You are part of a school of mercenaries. You're some fucking teenager who has been taught to fight for money. You're an expert in a magical weapon that is a gun and a sword at the same time.
A gun sword?
Yes, or gunblade as they call it in the game. There are only 2 of them apparently.
No one else is for strapping a gun to a sword.
In all of this fucking universe, the only gunblade experts happen to be in the same place at the same time, and fucking mortal enemies, albeit rivals.
I'm pretty sure a bit of duct tape I could fix.
Do you think you could make a gunblade, a gun sword?
Yeah, I could. Get gun.
Well, apparently they actually exist in history, which is.
I believe they do. I have heard of them.
But they're like daggers or something rather than full-blown swords.
And I think they were found to be incredibly dangerous for but whoever.
I would imagine fucking so.
Because I imagine you're slicing down. If you misjudge, you actually shoot like your person sat next to you.
That'd be rad.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing. Anyway, story is student mercenary. Go do test, become mercenary, travel world, get involved with resistance, fight sorceress, save world, which seems to be the thing for all Final Fantasy things. You're nothing. Somehow you save world because reasons. It was the 8th in the series.
No.
Believe it or not. Was it actually? No, was it the 8th? No, I don't think it was. There's some spin-offs, but if we don't include spin-offs, it was the 8th main game, and it was developed around the same time as Final Fantasy IX, which people prefer, and I think that those people are idiots. It was the most realistic looking of the Final Fantasy games to date. So, characters are actually made to look like humans, whereas if you look at, say, Final Fantasy VII, they looked like
very
much
cartoonish.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy IX went that way as well. So, they're, characters were more detailed but very cartoonish, whereas 8, they looked like actual people. It also kind of went the Final Fantasy VII style versus other Final Fantasies. So Final Fantasy is traditionally it's a turn-based RPG, and every game up until 7, from what I remember, you'd have a black mage, and black mages would use, say, fire, earth, elemental magic. You'd have a white mage that would deal with healing, and you'd have the fighter that would deal with, physical damage. You'd have like the random other character or monk that would deal with, physical damage. You'd have the swordsman or the knight that would, use blades or whatever. The thief that was, stealthy and all that kind of crap had like, high evasion stats and whatever. Final Fantasy VII threw that out the window, and 8 did the same. 9 went back to the traditional Final Fantasy formula, which is why I think it's so shit. Because it was boring. If you didn't like a character, if you needed a healer, you had to have the character in your team that healed, but even if you didn't like them, because that was what they were assigned. 8 was magical compared to 7 in that not only did it bin off that you had to have specific characters in your party, it also binned off the idea that you would equip magic. So you would find a magical orb in 7, and any character that had that orb equipped could use that magic. In 8, it had this interesting... It was the junctioning system. It was an interesting system in that summoning spells, or guardians, which were summoned materia in 7... so you'd equipped a summon materia in 7, and that would give you the power to this like almighty deity, like Ifrit, Shiva, Bahamut, whatever, like this all-powerful god for a special attack that would do massive damage and all that, and you could maybe use it like once or twice in a fight. In 8, you could use these deities all the fucking time. Like, you could use it every turn if you wanted to. But in equipping one of these gods, you would also be able to draw magic from your enemies. So you wouldn't just find magic. You wouldn't just get a spell and equip it and it was yours forever. You would have to go up to an enemy, you'd engage them in a random battle in a fight, and then you'd select the draw mechanic, and that would allow you to absorb magic from your enemies. And so you could use the magic that you stockpiled. So if you, let's say you wanted fire, and you didn't find any enemies that had the fire magic, you couldn't fucking use it. And if you only drew, say, 6 of them, and you used all 6, they were gone. You didn't get any more. You had to find them. So there, you know, you had to do a bit of resource management in it. It was a really fun, neat little system that they binned off for every other Final Fantasy game since. You could even increase your character's stats by equipping magic. So, you know, you could, if your Guardian Force had the ability to equip or junction magic to health, equipped healing magic to your character's health stat, and all of a sudden your health went fucking through the roof. You didn't have to grind anymore. You just had to fucking pull more magic from your enemy. It was really neat. It's a hard one to explain RPGs over, you know, over a podcast without spending hours and hours and hours going over every little detail. But the remaster is beautiful. I had a few criticisms of it initially because Final Fantasy VIII is a PlayStation 1 game. I was like, wow, the world map looks pretty shit. The characters look okay, but oh man, I remember it looking way better than this back in the day. Only to then look at side-by-side comparisons, and I realised they've done a fantastic job bringing this game to the modern age. Like, characters that looked like they had horribly pixelated faces in the PlayStation 1 game were... Well, it looked like a PlayStation 2 game in some areas. So it went from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2. Characters actually had faces rather than pixelated messes. Yeah. You know, the cutscenes were all re-rendered into, like, I don't know, 720p. What it looks like they've done is they've taken the PC version, because they had the PlayStation version, the PC version came out in like 2000 or something like that, and then they remade the PC version for Steam. It looks like they've used that and made some tweaks to put it on consoles and everything else for the remaster. It looks cracking. It plays brilliantly. The music is really nice. Final Fantasy VIII is so horribly underrated. I think everyone should try it as long as they can figure out how to get onto a train. You know, no, honestly, I'd think, you know, I really bum Final Fantasy VII. I love Final Fantasy VII. It's a great game. I hate Final Fantasy IX. But playing it, I really like 8.
You see, the reason we had Final Fantasy VIII is we hadn't been involved in console gaming. We had a Sega Mega Drive, and then we pre-ordered the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
So a fair jump.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
You missed, you know, you missed the PlayStation, you missed the Saturn, you missed...
Yeah, we missed quite a lot.
Yeah.
So we picked up Final Fantasy VIII because before we went to PS2, because obviously PS2 was backwards compatible, there weren't many games going, so I thought we'll pick up some old games to play on it until more newer games get released. And we went basically PlayStation Magazine 2 had a list in it of like sort of like the top games from PlayStation 1 that they were looking for to play on PlayStation 2. I thought, well, why don't we just use that as our basis, go through that list, pick what sounds like interesting, and pick them. And like Silent Hill was on there, so I picked up Silent Hill. Resident Evil's on there, I picked up Resident Evil. What else is on there? What we picked up, but one of the ones on there was Final Fantasy VIII. They put down as like one of the best games of the PS1.
I'm surprised they put Final Fantasy VIII over Final Fantasy VII or 9, but okay.
But yeah, we picked it up to put to play on the PlayStation, which is why we got it. Metal Gear Solid was on there, so picked that up.
Yeah.
We've picked up quite a few. So it's all the classic games that we all play. Which we play was because they're all
the big ones. The big
ones. It's because they're all on this list. That's why we picked them all up, and that's why we end up playing them all. And then got stuck at trains.
And that train isn't actually that late into the game. It's only like what, 4 to 6 hours.
It was first afternoon she was playing it. She got stuck on the train, and then never played it again.
Which is sad actually, because the game really gets good after that.
I'm sure it wasn't that hard to get on the train. No. I'm sure she was just being a bit. How can I put this nicely?
Bit dippy.
Yes, I was going to say dumb, but that felt a bit too harsh. But yeah, a little bit dippy for getting on the train, because I'm sure I thought it can't be that complicated, but that was one she picked. Like,
if she'd not played an RPG like that before, there was probably a trigger event that would allow her to go onto the train. If she didn't know those trigger events existed, they could just be a character that just stood there forever and said no. Yeah.
I mean, we got our PlayStation 2, but we forgot to buy a memory card. We bought a memory card for PlayStation 2.
Not for PlayStation 1.
No. And we didn't have one. And so we spent about a week playing these games, but couldn't save. So I only played the first bit of them. So we played Resident Evil about 4 or 5 times, like the first sort of few hours.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 times.
I had the same issue when I had a PlayStation 1. When I first got a PlayStation 1, my first purchase on PlayStation 1 was Final Fantasy VII. I already had like 5 other games that were bundled with the system that I hated. Some of them were alright, but Final Fantasy VII was the one that I really wanted to play. But I didn't have a fucking memory card. Memory cards back then were expensive, so it was a case of like, I'll play the opening mission like 15 times. I'll leave the console on overnight. And this was back in the days when I was so young that I lived with my parents. So, you leave the console on, the time is clocking up, and then all of a sudden you go to school, you come back and your parent had turned off the system or whatever, and you're just like, no! That's where you literally stuck on freaking out. Because they promised you they wouldn't turn it off, but they did. God, that was a nightmare. But obviously by the time Final Fantasy VIII came out, I had like 50 memory cards, and I was addicted to the series and that. But I reckon you guys should. Your sister plays PlayStation 4, right?
Yeah.
The remaster is on PlayStation 4. It looks phenomenal. For what it is, at least. For what they had to work with. Apparently they redid all the...
I'll try and convince them to play it, but they're very snobby when it comes to games. They tend to only want to play the newish games.
Fair enough.
They're very, very... they're very rare tasting games.
To help them out a little bit, there are kind of cheaty modes that will give you like unlimited money and fluff like that. And that's part of what they've done with a lot of the remasters, so you can have unlimited money, max stats, speed up the game time, so you can like run 3 times the speed and all that kind of stuff. So you can literally just enjoy the story.
I would say I'd appreciate it, because Final Fantasy games are a bit of a commitment.
Yeah, well, because you played base Final Fantasy VII, didn't you?
I did, although I did hack it. Using cheat engine, because I just wanted to learn the story and I was getting fed up with all the random battles.
Yeah, so you turned off the random battles, but then you could...
No, I didn't turn them off. What I did was I got cheat engine and I got to scan. So basically you get...
so you can like set 1-hit kills on all the enemies and stuff like that.
Sort of. So cheat engine, how it works is all it does is basically scan your memory. So you run cheat engine. So let's say, for example, you get to do you tell which EXE you're using, and you tell it to scan the memories. It scans all the menus. At this point, you're in the battle, okay? You're in a battle.
Yeah.
Scans all the memory locations. You then search all those locations for like the various health points. You look at like the hit points of the enemies, because that's stored as a number somewhere.
Of course.
You search for those. Once you'll go and say attack one of them and cause some damage. The number drops. You then do another search for that number again. Which
you eventually find the variable that...
you find the variables. So you find the 3 variables. And of course, they map the same. Once you found it, you can like save it and save it as a profile. So every single time, so I can have like enemy 1, enemy 2, enemy 3 health. And then if I go on a random battle that I can't be asked to fight, so I just alt-tab out to cheat engine, set all their health bars to 1, go back in, and they'd still, because obviously the game had pulled the memory. The number it shows you was initially was what just pulled from memory.
Yeah.
It wasn't like their current health. You go attack them and just obliterate them because you may only score like 10 points damage.
Which is probably wise considering some of the fights in Final Fantasy take fucking forever.
Yeah, so that's what I ended up doing. Interesting thing I learnt, because I just had my character's health on there, so if a character's getting ill, I could actually go and say, right, my character's now got 1 billion health.
Oh, winner.
But actually, interestingly, it wouldn't let you do it. It would only let you go up to their maximum health.
Okay,
so you set it, it would store, it'd set it in, it's sit in their memory, but the second they took some damage, it'd just calculate it based on their maximum health.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We set it on the based on the stat.
What was interesting was, when you could watch this, because I had a second mod, I could watch these figures change as the game's playing. And what I've learned about Final Fantasy VII was the game knows how much damage it's caused before it runs the animation.
Oh.
So when you know the enemy's doing his animation, he's doing all this sort of stuff and what have you and so forth. Before it even happens, the numbers have already dropped down memory.
Oh, neat.
So the game works all out before it's even run the animation.
Yeah, it makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah, it does make sense, but it's just interesting to see.
Yeah,
for
sure.
It's like, I'm going to take 200 hit points. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Yeah. Bastard. But,
that's how I cheated at
Final Fantasy VII, which, in fairness, Final Fantasy VII is quite long-winded. I mean, all Final Fantasy games are horribly long-winded.
So the idea of being able to play through them quickly, just to explore stories, is quite appealing to me.
The new releases that have come out on consoles all have, because they're all by .emu, they all have like little mini kind of cheat engine style things built into them. So like you can have infinite cards and infinite magic and loads of money and max level and all that right off the bat, just so you can enjoy the story. And I think Final Fantasy has a reasonable story. You know, I like it. I quite like the characters from it. I like where it goes. It gets really fucking crazy out there at times, but it's neat. And they tried to do something different with Final Fantasy, which was nice too. Before they went back to Final Fantasy IX, where they all went, you know, Final Fantasy VI style, where everyone had to be, I need a tank character, but the only tank character is this one, and he's a piece of shit. I liked having kind of, you know, characters that could be what the hell ever I wanted to be.
That's a far better way to do RPGs, and it's far more interesting way to do RPGs.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, there were some characters that were kind of like, they kind of pushed you in that direction, but nowhere near as bad as, say, Final Fantasy IX. 9 was like, this guy's the best at this, and you need that character.
If you hate him, tough.
Yeah, basically, and that fucking ragged me off.
No, I like games that do that, where it's like, okay, the person's abilities are sort of independent to them.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yes, we've set aside that the person is going to be a healer, but do you know what? If you want to be like an archer, fine, then be an archer. It's not
for sure.
It's going to be just as good as any other archer.
Mm-hmm.
Or virtually no difference. Off you go.
Yeah,
I like games like that. I like games that just don't push you into that. Set.
I mean, the rad thing with 8 is that you don't have to even worry about leveling up your characters as much. If you level up those guardians that I mentioned before, so, you know, you equip the guardian to the character, the guardian is the bit that literally dictates stats. You could have a whole new character that's weaker than all of your other characters, like if you've been grinding to level up characters, and you've obviously your guardians level up with your characters too. At every battle they get points. You can junction, so you equip, let's say you equip the character that has equip the guardian that has, say, health and strength, and you've got a new character and like, oh, this guy's so weak and they're going to get wrecked. Equip that guardian to them, trade over some magic, and bam, all of a sudden, even though their levels are lower, their stats are at the same level as your other team. Level up your guardians. Even some of the harder bosses become a cakewalk. The game even tells you these enemies are going to be kind of tough, but if you do this, hey, they're not a problem anymore.
Yeah, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah, that the junctioning mechanic is handy as fuck and will make grinding near non-existent. It is just all about enjoying the really out there story, and they have done an amazing job graphically with everything except the world map from what I've seen. The music is still good. There were occasionally bugs with the music. Apparently the PC version had MIDI, whereas the PlayStation version had like CD quality audio. The remakes had MIDI audio to start with, and now they have the PlayStation audio. it looks so much better. They have censored a few things, and corrected a few things from the original releases, but nothing super hardcore.
No.
Nothing that really ruins the story or anything. I know some people would be upset. When I realised they changed a few things, I was like, oh, that's not the same. But realistically, it doesn't impact the experience any. I mean, people will probably have different thrills playing the remakes versus the originals, but, you know, all in, the story is still the same. It's worth the playing. It's only $15, and it's on PlayStation 4, Xbox, you know, Switch, PC, anything you could possibly want to play it on. And it plays well. It's a classic. And I'm glad they fucking bothered to bring it out when they lost the code, because they couldn't be bothered to back it up for silly fanboyish reasons. Yeah, that didn't really sell the game any. No. I can't... Trouble is, you can't explain a big-ass RPG like that in a simple ass.
I think so, and I think you did a fair job.
It's a good game that people need to play. The music's good, graphics are good, cheat engine's all right. Not that I've used it yet. I've tried to play it raw, but it's fun. Anyway, moving on. Fuck it.
Go on. That's about it, really, for today. Because I need to
go to sleep. You're fading fast.
I am fading fast. I've got an hour's drive ahead of me yet.
Motherfucker. Just be careful.
I'll be very, very careful. So I need to go, basically. So, very much for watching up in the TheSuffolkRam.
Skazz.
We look forward to seeing you in a fortnight's time on episode 134.
Oh, God.
And Skazz will have an announcement, and all will be revealed.
And I'll be wearing a suit.
I'll be wearing a suit.
Although we might be calling my lawyer by the end of it. So
I've got a suit, so I'm effectively your lawyer.
Oh, well, there you go. Then you can be my lawyer for this one. Good job.
No. So very much on everybody. See you then.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Yo! Watch as the audio sucks.
Yes. Because I'm wedged in, my belly's been rubbing up against this table the whole time. I'm hoping that's the vibe. I'm hoping my belly's the fact I'd like a damper. And you're not going to get all that noise through. I wouldn't be funny if you got all my gurgling.
That'd be funny if you got like the random fart sounds and that come through the microphone.
Yeah. Oh!
Oh, it's ruined it!